Hi, welcome to the course Modeling of Digital Service. In this presentation, we'll be looking at design process from wireframing to prototyping. And to do that, we'll have to cover just a second what is a prototyping in short, and then we will also look at actual RP as a prototyping tool. Then we will take an example of a project and then look at how to gather requirements. At what stage do you need to even do the wireframing, and at what stage do you need to do the prototyping? And then finally, we will conclude by looking at some design guidelines which you might need when you start designing. So basically, prototyping mostly, I will say, is something that you build or design to mimic the final output. And here it says prototyping is an experimental process where design teams implement ideas into tangible forms from paper to digital. Basically, when you have a project, business or whoever company that will give you the project might give you in words or written form. So you use prototyping to actually translate the written requirements or words into something tangible that will reflect what the customer is requiring. So teams build prototype of varying degrees. It could be high fidelity or low fidelity. High fidelity meaning that it's mostly like a carbon copy of the final product, and here you make use of all the design styles or brand and everything, colors and everything from the customer, and you make sure everything is as it would mostly look in the final output product. So I think every design team or every designer mostly go through these 5 stages of design process: the empathy, defining, ideating, and prototyping. So the prototyping actually happen on this 4th process, where you actually try to put whatever requirement you have into something tangible. And we'll be looking at these as we go on, and we will then figure out what might be the best stage to do also the wireframing as well. Now, moving forward, we will then look at one of the tools for prototyping, which is actual RP. So there are multiple of them: Adobe SD, Figma, and a whole lot of them. But actual RP is what we'll be using for this course. Having mentioned that, of course, teams are at liberty to use something that might be of that they already know. If that is okay for them, then you can use. But actual RP is a prototyping software that allows you to create high to low fidelity interactive prototypes for website and mobile apps without writing a single line of code. Mostly, there are tons of these prototyping tools, but actual RP seems to be, in terms of creating interaction, I would say it stands at tall. Most of the prototyping tools, you just create pages and then a few links. For example, if you need to put 3 actions on this button, most prototyping tools might not be able to do that. But with actual RP, you can even put a lot of multiple actions on one element or widget. Now, moving forward, some of the things you could do: so you can do basic or advanced prototyping. You could also share. They have this actual share cloud where you can publish your project for other stakeholders to comment, so they don't have to really have actual RP account, but they can give comments in that case. You could also use it for diagramming and documentations. Team project, we'll be looking at that one. There's a separate tutorial or video on team project, and you can take a look at that one. So yeah, basically these are some of the, and then the environment. This is how the environment looks like. So basically all of them defined here. So you have the main tool, which is this area where you can use to perform common actions like arranging widgets, styling, publishing. And then you have this area, which is the Canva area or the canvas, where you actually, that's your design environment, where you drag and drop things from the widget area into. Then the pages is where you also use to arrange the files that you have for your website or application that you are designing. You'll use to organize them. Then of course the outline is a searchable, sortable, or filterable list of all the widgets, components, and dynamic panels on the current diagram. So for example, if I'm working here and I have a dynamic panel here, dynamic panel meaning that some pages or screens are hidden behind some, it's easy for me to edit them with this outline here, which will then those will be available there. Then the libraries. So here are resources for widgets such as buttons, images, text, shapes. All of them are located here, and you can drag and drop them. And then of course the component is used in arranging common reusable part of your application. For example, the footer. In most applications or website, the footer is almost all the time common, so you can have that one done as a component on this area. That will mean that if you need to make a change, you do it once and it affects every part of the application. And of course the style, which is this particular one, 0.7, allows you to, if you put in a widget here and you want to edit it, change color or borders and everything, that's it. And then in the interaction, that's the main thing. Watch, when you start prototyping, you need to be able to add more interaction to it. And of course the note to keep up the changes you are doing. And of course, especially in team project, you might want to always give comments so people know what you have changed or done. Moving forward, now let's look at, so you got an idea about the actual RP environment. Now let's look at the project. If we are starting to do a project, what we need to do. For now, as an example, let's look at this as we are about to design the front page of Laria University of Applied Science website. Now, as a starting point, you need to understand the business requirement. So if you've been contracted by Laria administration to do this, what is the objective? What do they want to have with this website front page? And then those who will be using the website, what are their requirements? And then you can then use this functional requirement to be more specific with the user requirement. So details of the product behavior and how it should be developed will be then there. Moving forward, so we've already talked about the design thinking process on the first part, and I'm sure if you have taken the course design thinking, you're already familiar with this. So we are not going to go into details about this design process, but I'm going to only specify at which stage normally personally I start to use wireframing or prototyping. As you can see, prototyping is clear, which is stage 4. But then wireframing, mostly I start to do that here in the ideation stage. So as we can see from here, and at the empathy, you are interviewing or shadowing or seeking to understand the problem. For example, we are asked to design a university website. You are not a teacher. You are not, maybe you've been a student, but that for a long time. You've not been in the university institution, so you need to really get to the users and understand how they work. And that could mean that you could interview a teacher, a lecturer, a student, or somebody, an administrator there, just to get to see their workflow day to day, how they work, and how you can channel those into the website. Once that is done, you are then at the defining stage, trying to figure out user personas. So here, for example, it could be like I have a specific teacher there who probably uses only iPad to access to the website. He has maybe short-sighted or sight issue. So those are the things I might have to consider, that okay, I need to make the website to be more responsive so that it could be used also on tablet and phone for these people. I need to ensure that the contrast, the color contrast is also on point, a whole lot of things. So, and then at the same time defining user stories and the requirement to be clear. At this stage, I'm trying to translate the user stories into a user interface by simply wireframing and then discussing with the team about how I intend to put whatever requirement we have into a user interface. So as indicated, the fourth stage is where you can then start prototyping. Now, to start the university project, we need to empathize to learn more about the users. So you need to understand who are the users of Laria website, why are they using the website, what behaviors, assumptions, and expectations of the website do they expect. And then knowing the above will help us tailor the messaging and the voice of the website to speak to our end users, answer their individual needs, and prompt them. Of course, sometimes knowing even their ages and everything will help you to choose even the kind of colors. And of course, if they have a brand color, that's what you are sticking to. But again, it will help you to, again, sort of tailor the messaging on the voice of the website to suit the users in this case. Continuing from there, let's assume that we have, maybe I will just say lecturers instead of teachers. So lecturers or teachers, in this case, prospective student, alumni, public, or could be companies, people from companies or research institutions visiting. We can then interview lecturers and students to know more about their work and know and how they intend to use the site. So to understand them, we need to know, okay, are they all kind of tech savvy, novice or expert users? Are they using desktop, tablet, or mobile users? Users with visual or hearing or motor or cognitive impairment? Users language? Users with different cultural expectations? So we need to take all these into consideration. And when you have written your user personas, you should be able to figure these things out. So let's now, at the defining stage, we are trying to understand, and here I've put some examples like, okay, these might be the requirement, like the website must be able to accept and save data from users. Site should allow users to upload files for processing. Site should allow users to chat with help desks. Site should allow users to select their preferred language. Users to apply for courses. And so forth. Cap packing information, academic calendar, show alumni news, promote campus events, for example, log in to access certain features, adaptable to all devices, screen size of, so basically it needs to be responsive. And then send and retrieve data to and from database, for example. So we got this one, but for example, here it says log in to access certain features. This doesn't tell that enough. But if we are able to see sort of interviews teachers and lecturers and students and know more about what they'll be using the website for, we'll be able to write user stories to explain this feature into more details. So let's take this, what a user story is, because that is what will help us kind of write detailed requirement. So a user story is a short, simple description of a feature or function told from the perspective of the user or customer who requires it in a particular product. So user stories are powerful techniques to capture the product functionality from perspective of a user or a customer. And a format that it takes is normally who is the user, that's the user type, what is their goal, and what is the reason. So for example, as a lecturer, I want to, so if I go back to where, so as a lecturer, okay, I want to log in to the school e-learning system. So that is my goal. My goal is to log into the school e-learning system. But what might be the reason why I want to? So that I can grade student, or I can upload course content. So that might be the reason. So this is how a user story goes: the type, the goal, and then the reason. And let's look at that based on this, define for the different users we have already discussed. So, and these are examples from a different angle. That as a user, I can cancel a reservation. Does the user get a full refund? So normally when you have this one, then these could be user sub-stories. So this is a user story, but this might be the sub-stories that you need to do to get it. So when you cancel it, what happens? Do you get a refund or partial or whatever? And for example, here too says details. So this is a typical example of a user story and writing its sub-stories or subtags. As a user, I can cancel a reservation. Okay, as a premium site member, I can cancel a reservation up to the last minute. So based on the type of user you are, then you can, if you're a premium user of a non-premium or a site visit, then even though this is one user story, you could see that you can create sub stories out of it when implementing it. So let's take from the perspective of the website we are about to do, the front page of the Lara University of Applied Science. So as a lecturer, I want to log into the school e-learning platform so that I can upload course materials. As a lecturer, I want to log into the school e-learning platform so that I can manage my courses, the courses that I'm teaching. Again, the same way that I can enter student grade, or I can give feedback on student grade. So this is based on this. When we are doing the website, we need to make sure that lecturers will have the option to do this. Then from the student point, you might also want to log into the e-learning platform so that you can view your course grades. You can also register for courses. You can also register for the semester and submit your assignment, or even probably download your study certificates, for example. As an alumnus past student, I want to register to be part of the lecturers database so that I can share my study and work-life experience with current students. As an alumnus, I want to register to be part of the alumni register so that I can benefit from a wide range of alumni services in the future. So this might also be for past students. When they are coming to the website, we need to provide a way for them to register to these based on these user stories. Of course, for prospective students, I want to browse through, it could be even an exchange student, for example. Browse through university program offerings so that I can make a choice and apply. As a company representative or a researcher, I want to be able to access institute information on research so that I can reach out for collaboration in this case. And here maybe just typo, there should be the administrator or something like that. So for the administrator, you might also want to must be authorized by company executive to create an account to access the web portal to the website database, and a whole lot of things like that. So now you get an idea how you could write a user story, because now, based on what we have done, we can then assume all the features that lecturer, student, past student, or even somebody from the public who want to do on the website. Now let's move on to the ideate stage. So we've now been able to list all the, I would say, all the requirements, if not all, but majority of them. We need to now put this into a wireframe. This is where, that's the third stage of the design process. And here I will then be able to have, of course, in this case, you might also have to put this in a kind of a, should I say, sitemap. Was it already here? Oh, just a second. Let's go back. Okay, from here, so you could put this in a sitemap before even this. So based on this, we have already group here that, okay, we'll have the degree, international research about us, and then of course some hamburger menu there to have other features. And then on here we have a carousel that is going on, and then we have more sort of options the same way that you can, degree program that you can find also here. It's kind of a repetition, but then it's still once we want to place more emphasis on these ones. And then this might be how the website would look after the prototyping. In this case, this is just a screenshot from the main website, and that's what we'll be doing in actual, so you can see how things is done in actual. To bring this to an end, we do have these 10 heuristics for user interface design by Jacob Nelson, which is widely used by every designer. So when you're designing any application or system, it's quite handy. There's a link there that you can read more about it. But when you say visibility of the system status, so let's say that there's a login. Now you are on a website and you click login, and then a blank page comes and it takes more than 5 seconds, nothing happens. That is likely to cause some kind of I would think that, okay, there's a system working. So in most applications, you will see that when you click something like that, you will see a cogwheel or a gear or something spinning, telling you that something is about to happen. So you are being informed, or hey, sit tight, something is coming. So that kind of thing, you need to keep them informed at every stage of the application. Match between system and the real world. So let's take, for example, you are designing something on, let's say, tax system, or maybe VAT. So we all understand VAT. So when it's something that is widely used there. So the language you are using you should speak the user's language. So you don't use anything in VAT. If you have to use VAT, which is they are used to, then you use it. Then you use something that is out of the ordinary. That is not something they will be able to relate to. Use control and freedom. Provide exit when users make mistakes. So let's say that I try to click, or maybe there's a registration form, and then there's a font field, and then I start to type words or something. You should give me kind of a or maybe I click on something and I realize a pop-up comes and I realize, oh no, this is not where I want to go. There should be a cancel button for me to go back, exit from that, and go back to where I was. Consistency and standard. So again, don't reinvent the wheel when there's a resistant one. Don't go trying to be more like, there's a standard on in the system, so try to use those. In most cases, let's say you are doing application with a pop-up, and in most cases you will see cancel, continue. Look at the existing applications, how they have placed, and follow those such conventions, because people are used to them, so you don't want to introduce them to something completely new. Error prevention. So if you have noticed, in most applications you will see that you type your password. After typing, then they will give an error. Your password needs to be 8 characters with uppercase, lowercase, a special character. So why wait for the user to make that mistake before informing them? So if that is the case, give them, before they type, give them that information that, hey, note your password needs to be there. So then they will avoid making such mistakes. Recognition rather than recall. So minimize the user's memory load by making object actions and options visible. Flexibility and efficiency of use allow users to tailor frequent actions. So in most applications like e-commerce, so you have the option to, maybe if you are fond of always searching for gadgets, then you can make that your favorite. So when you come back next time, you can easily get to that without having to start from scratch. Aesthetic and minimalistic design. So dialogue should not contain information which is irrelevant. So somebody clicks on a button, and then to save a button, save button to save something, and then a pop-up comes, and then you are saying, are you sure you want to save? Note that this, and then you continue. You can also put only the content that is relevant to the button that they click. Don't put any irrelevant things that might not be needed in that pop-up. And of course, help users recognize dialogue and recover from errors. Error messages should be expressed in plain language and no code. So if they have to put something like you have a phone number field and somebody mistakenly type in letters, and then you're given an error, it should be clear. This field accepts only numbers. There's no need to be writing or giving code or anything to that effect. I hope this, you can read more on this also here, and I hope this short presentation on how you can start your project writing user story will be helpful. There will be another session where we'll look at that. We'll be looking at how to put these user stories into Jira for your team project work. So once again, thanks for your attention, and if you have any question, don't forget to reach out.